Hello, everyone, and welcome back to WandaVision Thoughts and Theories. Today we are talking about episode 6. Can you believe that we're on episode 6 already? There's only 3 more episodes left in the season, and there's still so much time for so much to happen. But today we're talking about episode 6, and yes, a lot happened. So I'm gonna be honest, episode 6 was not one of my favorites. And I think the reason is I am a big advocate for Wanda, and this episode really portrays Wanda as being the villain. And I don't really like that because I don't think it's all Wanda. But let's jump into it. So, this episode is the 90s, and I was born in the 90s, so a lot of these like 90s sitcom references, they're my time now. So, I didn't really watch Malcolm in the Middle, but my boyfriend did, and he was talking about how there were so many Malcolm in the Middle references in like the opening credits scene thing, and I just like gave me vibes of sitcoms that I watched when I was younger. Like, it was so good. Now, the opening scene starts with like Billy and Tommy talking to the audience, like at the camera, at the audience. And one of them is kind of like the cooler one, and one is more like the nerdier one. And it really gave me like Drake and Josh vibes, if you know what I mean. So, in this episode, Pietro is like the uncle that sleeps on the couch and just like hangs out at their house or lives at their house all the time. And he's like really trying to bond with the kids, and I think they really like him. So it's Halloween, and Wanda and Vision are all dressed up and they're ready to go celebrate. And Vision says that he has like neighborhood watch protection, whatever, tonight. So he can't hang out with Wanda. And she kind of freaks out because she's like, this isn't how I planned it. Like, we're supposed to celebrate Halloween together. Like, that's how I want the story to be. And then Pietro volunteers to go as the male figure for them so that Vision can go do his neighborhood watch duties. So Pietro gets a costume all ready for him and Tommy, I believe. Yes, Tommy. And they dress up as what I think is Quicksilver, which is what Pietro's like power superhero name is. So then we go outside of Westview back to Sword and the FBI. So, as I've talked about in previous episodes, the FBI is against Wanda, and Monica is trying to advocate for Wanda. So, the FBI wants to kill and get rid of Wanda because she is perceived as the enemy. But Monica's saying, we don't know what'll happen to Westview or anything really on Earth if Wanda dies. And she's trying to advocate that Wanda is not the bad guy, but they just won't have it, and they fire Monica and Darcy and Jimmy Woo, who are all from Sword and proponents and advocates for Wanda. So now we're back in Westview, and Pietro and Wanda are out for Halloween while the kids go trick-or-treating. And Wanda starts asking Pietro questions about their childhood, and he's like, you're testing me. Like, you don't believe that it's me. And she talks about how he looks different and things like that, and you can tell that there's something odd going on. And he obviously looks different because he's played by a completely different actor. So Pietro goes and he takes the kids out trick-or-treating because the kids interrupt their conversation, and Wanda goes and talks to Herb, and she quickly finds out that Herb is the one on neighborhood watch tonight, and Vision is not on duty. He doesn't have a shift. So she is very confused because he obviously lied to her. So Wanda's obviously upset, and then Herb is like, do you want something changed? Are you upset? And that's another thing, kind of like what's her name? Agnes did in previous episodes, where she's like, do you want me to run my lines again? So yeah, things are weird. So we then go to Vision walking around town, and he is pretty far away from Wanda, and he starts seeing people that are not really moving much, and they don't look very conscious. Like, it shows these people like setting up Halloween decorations, but they just keep going back and forth, kind of like an animated decoration. And then he gets even further outside of town and people are not moving at all. They're just standing still. They can't hear or do anything. They are just look like mannequins, like standing there. And I think it's because Wanda's control doesn't go as big as the radius of the town, and Vision has always been with Wanda, so he hasn't seen this. So where Wanda is, everyone is doing what she wants them to do. And then when you go further away from her control, she can't fully control those people from that big of a radius. So they're not really doing anything. They're just standing there. So the commercial in this episode is really bizarre. It is someone getting yogurt that's supposed to be magic yogurt, but they can't get it open and then they just die on the island, which is by far the strangest and most confusing commercial. I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to say here, but yeah, just very odd. I liked the cartoons though, very 90s. Also very 90s, they're walking around like around the neighborhood and stuff, and they go by the movie theater and it says The Parent Trap and The Incredibles playing, and I love that. My childhood. So then we go back to Wanda and Pietro's talking about how last thing he remembers is, getting shot in the streets during Ultron, and then he just hears Wanda calling him saying that she needed him and now he's here. And then the little kids come, Tommy and Billy, and Tommy has supersonic speed just like Pietro. So I don't know if he like got that from Wanda through like her superpowers or what, but yeah. And we later find out that Billy also has powers, but I will get there when we get there. Okay, now we're back outside of Westview. Lots of jumping back and forth. But basically, Darcy and Monica and Jimmy Woo try and go find what the FBI is tracking, and they find out that the FBI is tracking Vision, and they don't know why. So they see where Vision is, and they see that all of the Westview residents, like in his vicinity, are barely moving, just like Vision saw. So Vision decides to go to the edge of town, and he sees Agnes in her car at a stop sign, not moving at all. And she says that she's lost, and he's like, you lived in Westview your whole life. How could you just get lost and not know where you're going? She's also like not very conscious. Like, it takes her a very long time to respond. She's not her usual really peppy, energetic self. So Vision snaps her out of it and lets the real Agnes, or the real Westview resident, speak, and she's like, you're Vision, you're one of the Avengers, and he has no idea what she's talking about. He's like, yes, I'm Vision, but who are the Avengers? So like, Vision doesn't remember anything from before he died, so there's something going on there. Agnes thinks that Vision is there to save them. So she's in trouble and she's waiting for Vision to save them because she thinks that he's the good guy, which he is, but like, he's not Vision, I don't think. I don't know. So then Agnes thinks that she's dead, and Vision's confused, like, why would you be dead? And she's like, I think I'm dead because you're dead and I'm seeing you right now. So then Agnes starts talking about how she's not allowed to leave, no one's allowed to leave, Wanda won't even let them think about it. And Vision like does this little magic and brings the sitcom Agnes back, and he says, Agnes, I will do everything I can to like protect you, save you, figure out what's going on. And then Agnes comes back to her peppy personality, and she turns the car around and she's back in the sitcom as her usual self. Okay, we're back outside of Westview now, and Monica's talking about how she is about to get all of the supplies and things that she needs to go back into the Hex. And Darcy says, you can't. Like, we have been looking at your blood work, and all of your like molecular cells and stuff have been like mutated and transformed and like completely changed from going through the hex twice. And Monica says she wants to help Wanda and she'll do anything she can to help her. She won't stop. So that means she's probably trying to go back in. And then big things start happening. Vision is at the border of Wanda's big force field thing, and he's trying to escape. And they can see something happening from the outside. All right, we are back in Westview, and Wanda and Pietro are talking, and he's just talking about, like, where did all these children come from? Like, how did you do it? And he's basically saying, like, I know that you are, like, controlling Westview, and he's just like, I think you did it ethically because you were always the more, like, empathetic twin, and so he knows, and he's like, I'm okay with it, and that's kind of a red flag. And she's like, you think it's okay? And she's talking about how, like, she doesn't know how she did it. So I think that this is showing that while she has good intentions, she is not the one that is completely in control of all of this. She might be powering it, but it might not be out of her full free will. Wanda was basically saying, I don't know how I did it, but all I remember is feeling so alone and hopeless after Vision died. So, like, you kind of feel bad for her, and I do. I'm always an advocate for Wanda. So meanwhile, Vision's trying to escape the border, and while he's doing that, it is destroying him. Like, he is breaking into pieces as he's trying to break the force field. And all of the, like, FBI and sword people outside see that he's trying to escape and see that it's killing him. So Darcy sees that he's falling apart, and she's screaming at the FBI, like, you need to help him, and they're not helping him, and they take her and they handcuff her to a car. But this is important. So we're back in Westview, and Billy goes up to Wanda, and he's like, Dad's in trouble, I can hear him. So he has some sort of superpower. And Wanda figures out what's happening, and she expands the border. Like, the whole force field just starts shooting out. And all of the FBI people are getting in their cars, trying to run away. Darcy is handcuffed to a car that's not moving. So she gets sucked in to that new barrier. And everything that gets sucked in gets made into something else. So there was a helicopter, it became like a hot air balloon, like everything is fitting into what's happening in the scene. So basically, almost all of the FBI guys get sucked in, and they're like turned into clowns and things like that. And I think the reason Wanda did this is because she figured out that Vision was trying to escape the border. So if she expanded it, it would stop him from escaping, but also save him from being broken into a million pieces. And basically the episode just ends with the FBI person talking into his radio, and no one's responding because all of his men were sucked in to Wanda's barrier. So next episode, we're gonna see a ton of those people in the barrier with Wanda, I assume. And yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. There's 3 episodes left, and there's so much to be explained. I'm so excited. But yeah, I really hope that Wanda is not the bad guy. Obviously, she's not completely innocent, but I don't think she's all behind this. I think that someone took advantage of her pain and grief. I also hope that Vision stays around and, like, the series doesn't just end with him dead. You know, I want them to have a happy ending. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back next week for WandaVision Thoughts and Theories episode 7.